Active voice and passive voice in English explained. Voice is one of the 4 verb inflections in English language, also known as grammatical voice or diathesis. It is an inflection that focuses on the relationship between agent, the performer or experiencer of an action, and the verb. Voice shows how the verb in a sentence is expressed in relation to the subject. That is, the position of the verb in a sentence relative to the performer of the action in the sentence. Types of voice: active voice and passive voice. Active voice. Active voice is regarded as the natural order of simple sentences or main clauses. It occurs when the subject in a sentence appears before the verb. In active voice, emphasis is laid on the subject. This is evident in the placement of the subject at the initial position of a sentence right before the finite verb. Examples of active voice: John is a chef. He kicked the ball. Children enjoy stories. Teachers know better. My country is prosperous. From the examples above, it can be deduced that emphasis is laid on the subject of each of the sentences. This is typical of the active voice. A close observation of the examples would reveal that not all the sentences have direct objects. For example, examples A, C, D, and E have no direct objects. This shows that direct objects are optional elements in active voice, but subjects are obligatory, meaning you cannot have an active voice without a subject, as seen in the examples above. When to use active voice: the active voice is much preferred to the passive voice because of its directness and clarity. Here are a number of situations that are appropriate to use active voice in, when the subject is crucial to the meaning of the sentence. Examples: Matthew lives downtown. Matthew is an individual known to the subject and his name is relevant to the description of who it is that lives downtown. My pet, Lizzie, likes to go for a walk. The pet that likes to go for a walk is my pet, Lizzie. There, janitor dropped the books downstairs. The person who dropped the books downstairs is the janitor. When you want to lay emphasis on the subject, examples: I swept the house, not John. Monkeys threw bananas at the tourists. When there is a direct object, examples: the students played cricket. Mr. Hopkins mowed the lawn. Aunt Maya cooked dinner. Passive voice. Passive voice is used less frequently, both in speech and in writing compared to the active voice. It occurs when the direct object in a sentence is made to swap positions with the original subject. Hence, passive voice envisages the placement of direct object at the subject position in a sentence, and the movement of the original subject to the direct object position preceded by the preposition by. Examples of passive voice: their book was hidden by Joshua. Passive voice. Joshua is the book. Active voice. The new bill was signed by a simple majority of the ruling council. Passive voice. A simple majority of the ruling council signed the new bill. Active voice. Pancakes are being made by Uncle John. Passive voice. Uncle John is making pancakes. Active voice. Nice clothings are sold by Aunt Teresa. Passive voice. Aunt Teresa sells nice clothings. Active voice. From the examples, it can be deduced that direct objects are crucial elements of the passive voice such that it cannot be formed without them. The verb acts on the subject, instead of the other way around, in passive voice because the new subject was originally a direct object, which is typically affected by the verb in a sentence. Passive voice is formed by moving the direct object to the subject position, adding any inflectional variation of the auxiliary verb, be for example, is, was, are, were, etc., to the past participle of the main verb in the sentence, and the original subject in the direct object position preceded by the preposition by. When to use passive voice: since passive voice is not as direct as the active voice or as clear, there are specific contexts in which it is appropriate to use them, when the subject of a sentence is irrelevant, hence omitted. Examples: the ball was kicked. The glasses were broken. My backpack had been stepped on. When writing a scientific reports to create a neutral and professional tone that is devoid of subjectiveness. Examples: sea anemones were discovered by the team. Our reports were compiled by the clerks. The weather report was falsified by the paid-off reporters. When the direct object is relevant to the meaning of the sentence. Examples: Alfonso the Good was killed by Manfred's ancestor. The road downhill was constructed by the newly elected mayor. Our books were arranged by our teacher. When the direct object is being emphasized. Examples: the tree branches were used to make brooms. The new estate was built by a strict committee. These flowers were planted by the janitor. See you soon.